Final throat clearings. Yeah, that's a shaky start right there. Let's see, here we go. All right. Howdy do, folks. Raimi Amish Comic here, trying to make Tuesdays suck less. It is July 2nd. The lovely Mrs. Comic is in the house on the couch, and she delivers me messages, but she's having some serious allergy shit going on, so she might say a thing to me and it might come out and then there'll be some confusion, but you peckerheads really like that anyway, so there we go. It's I guess it's the 4th of July weekend show, which I hadn't really planned on except later this afternoon. I thought it would be a good time to do the 4th of July show, which basically is just me saying that it's 4th of July and other fun stuff like that. I had a fun show Saturday, and I went back and triumphantly conquered Altoona Grand Hotel. It was really a fun show. We went up against a whole bunch of other events in the town. I convinced them not to reschedule because I don't reschedule shit. That's a dumb idea. We had a nice crowd. I think they're going to have me back in January, and the dumbest thing that I did was I decided, for the greater good of our cat and family kingdom, I would make the trip to Altoona, do my show, put on a dry shirt, drink a smoothie, and drive home, which I did. But I'll tell you what, that's a hell of a lot tougher drive than I had given it credit for. So I was trying to get to a family wahoo the next day. Turns out that we didn't get there anyway because, see, here's the thing. Caesar, who's been running around here, let me show you what he's up to these days. Okay, so there's Caesar. This was actually from last week. I set this live stream up, and he was back there, rip roaring and ready to go. So he wasn't back there today, but then he goes nuts when we're doing stuff like that. So, and that's important to the story I'm going to tell you about Altoona, because so this guy, he's already nocturnal for the most part. He's nocturnal. And when I'm doing a trip, and Mrs. Comic stayed home, much as we were going to have a sexy night in Altoona at the Altoona Grand Hotel, we decided she would stay home and chill out a little bit, and I'd just drive back for the big wahoo. So it's 3.5 hour ride there, 3.5 back, pounding rain on the way there that I had to actually stop. It was that rough of a trip. And so Caesar is not used to me being gone 8 hours at a time like that for except on show nights. And so Caesar rested up, and when I got home at 2:35, Caesar woke up like it was the next day, which basically was, and he wanted to have circus, and he's not very timid about his requests for circus. So instead of getting to bed early so I could get to the wahoo on Sunday, it's 4 o'clock in the morning now. Caesar is still wound up in circus mode, and when I say wound up, this thing here behind me, he jumps up on this, he flies over here, he runs through there. He almost knocked over a 3 o'clock in the morning celebratory home from Altoona bourbon. It just spilled on my hand a little bit, but it was really fun. But he just waited all night for me to come home, and we love this little peckerhead. And so I'm playing with cats all night long. Kevin Keller in the house. Thank you. I see that tip there. I'll drink to that. Here we go. But the ride home was really tough on me because it's you have to battle. I complain about it on my show. I love Pennsylvania, but we have some of the worst drivers in the state. I mean, in the country. because like the turnpike will go up to 70, which means we can drive 90. But when it drops down to 55, people are like, fuck that, I was driving 90, I'm not dropping down to 55. It's way worse than that with tractor trailers and shit on the way home. Now, I have been rocking the Waze app. If you travel, I highly recommend the Waze app. It has police in here, it has uh, raccoons on the road, it has potholes, it has foreign objects on the road, it has a car is stopped on this side of the road. So it's 1:30 in the morning. We're getting ready to drop down from 70 miles an hour to 55. And also in my Waze app, there I see there's two police real close, one on that side, one on that side, and also there is a stopped vehicle which happened to be a tractor trailer. So a tractor trailer was fucking road raging me and crawling up my ass because I was slowing down to 55 and slower because I knew the cops were there and I knew the thing was there. So he road raged me and he moved this way, he moved that, and as soon as he got around me, we were at the cops and the big tractor trailer, and that fucker had to stop, and he didn't skid, but he really had to go in almost fucking reverse. And I'd like to think he thought to himself for a moment that I was a real fucking asshole. And then he got to that point where he said, "Oh, turns out that guy wasn't the asshole. I was the asshole. When I mean I mean him, because he was talking." So that's the kind of shit that keeps you up all night. And then when I get home, I'm wide awake. So there's circus going on there. And the reason I am such an excellent driver on the way home is I don't want to die young. I love my life. I have a happy life. I suspect there's maniacs out there. I actually planned on Bad Drivers Saturday night. That's one I hadn't planned on before. And basic theme of my show is that women are smarter than men, and ladies, we're much dumber than you think we are. This is a guy thing that happens to me all the time, and I didn't realize it was a guy thing. I turn down so much free alcohol when I'm out performing that if I can have it sent to my home, I could open up a small Amish pub here in town. And it's very nice of people, but mostly guys, when they offer to buy me a drink before the show or after, doesn't matter, because I don't need alcohol before I perform, even though I'm not really performing, I'm just hanging out. Um, they get hurt feelings when I turn them down. I would say, they say, "Hey, Raymond, let's do a shot." This is before the show in Altoona. I'm there. Uh, no, thank you very much, but I don't drink any alcohol before I perform or even after until I get home. But I really appreciate that. And guys get a little pissy. Say, "Come on, just do a shot." No, I just said I don't drink alcohol. Before he goes, "Okay, just the beer then." So now you know who you're dealing with, because in this guy's mind, beer wasn't really alcohol. So I would not suggest telling that to a policeman if you got pulled over. Were you drinking not alcohol, just beer? I don't think that is going to fly. But he is the latest in a long line of guys who want to buy me a drink at or after my show. And when I politely turn them down, they get all fucking hurt feelings. They get crushed. I've slapped them in the face. It's a duel. I have ruined our imagined friendship. I don't even fucking know who these people are, but I have crushed this man. I have crushed his spirits. Why would I not? What's wrong with him that I wouldn't sit and have a drink with him? Completely not hearing anything I said about not drinking before a show or till I got home. He fucking took it personally. So if you're buying drinks for people and they don't want them, don't be a fucking dick about it. For crying out loud, what I used to do is accept the drink, but I tell them I don't drink. I would accept the drink on someone else's behalf, and then I would take it and then give it to that person, which worked out okay for a while. But then people start to get fucking pissed off because they're like, "Hey, I didn't offer to buy him a drink, I offered to buy you a drink." So it's better to just say no, as it were. So here's my celebratory. I made it back from Altoona, bourbon balls. Here we go. Now, without going into too much detail, Altoona ripped me off years before the pandemic. The same place that I went to, and I swore I'd never go back. But new people don't own it, but new people were running things, and I thought, fuck it, man. It's been quite a few years. I want to make money. Let's give them another shot and let bygones be bygones. And that money is gone. And do I want to just be a dick and never work there again? Plus, I have no gigs out in Altoona, so I thought, fuck it, let's just do it. So I braced myself to be cheated again. That's a terrible way to think in life. It's a terrible way, but I had been bitten previously, and so I I spent a portion of my trip out there getting myself in a chill mode, promising myself not to get mad if anything seemed a little bit off the railroad tracks, but also I didn't want to be taken advantage of. So I got kind of this, Ted Lasso, Dumbledore kind of mentality going on. The storm on the way made me late, so I rolled in at 7:30 for an 8 o'clock show. Much to my shock and surprise, the guy that ripped me off many years ago came up to me and he apologized. He didn't really confess. He said, "I hear you weren't very happy with us the last time you were here." That's really the understatement of the year. I was a fucking pissed off fucking rattlesnake, fucking volcanic explosion, but I just smiled and nodded. So they actually didn't sell enough tickets to cover my contract, which I had jacked the price up because of the bad shit that happened before. Um, but he promised me they were going to honor the contract, and even if they didn't cover it with ticket sales, and he was sorry about what happened before, and my brain just fucking melted. So what's crazy about that is in this business, if you get dicked over by people, that never gets fixed. That never gets fixed years later. It absolutely never gets fixed. So again, positive energy into the universe, bourbon balls. That it fucking crushed me. That this guy kind of apologized, and so I texted Mrs. Comic, and she was happy tears and all that shit. So it was a fantastic weekend. Uh, Burned bridges rebuilt, I guess would be the proper phrase there. So it's one of those things where I say it all the time to Mrs. Comic. My default setting on shit is we're fucked. That's hardly ever true. And sometimes there's a lot of shit going on that we don't even know about. So, hooray for that. Now I have to make sure I don't let my guard down too much because that's how I would get cheated in January. So I'm going to go in there tippy toe, making sure everything's fine and dandy right there. So now we see that so far my show has had very little to do with the Fourth of July. Um, Fourth of July is different for us now. We used to do the picnics years ago. We used to do the fireworks years ago, but now I'm vegetarian and we have cat in the house, and everybody's grown up and run off different places. So we don't really have that big 4th of July bash that we used to have. So, but days gone by, let me show you if I can find this. Days gone by, if you were in my 4th of July backyard, you would see me doing that. And I don't know, and this also connects back to the HBO series we've been watching, all these strange events. What's that horrible fire, demonic circle burning? It is Satan that's come to spin us like a fucking tornado to rip our souls out and cut right through the earth. Or it's an Amish comedian on his third bourbon with a handful of sparklers, making them go around in a circle real fast like that. Right, so you just never know what's going to happen. And then here's another great one. If you, let's see, where the hell did I put it? Okay, so now I'm going way back. My brother-in-law, the plumber, likes to relax at these things. I can't hardly ever relax ever. It's part of my way. It's hard to have fun when you're relaxing. That's the way I look at it. So I tormented him, and this had a soundtrack in it, but I had to remove the soundtrack because it was music, I don't have the copyright, but this, I don't know how many years ago this was. Uh, Nobody's going to see this, so enjoy this. Is be the one and only seeing of this. If you wonder if I am silly and immature in my real life, there is me in my real life celebrating the 4th of July. There's my brother in law, Jack, who just is not going to be moving out of his chair no matter what kind of 4th of July flag lap dance I do. So that, there you go, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you enjoyed that because you will probably never, ever see that again. I don't know that any, it's still going. See, I thought it looked like I had a big finale there, and then I didn't do it. So we'll just say that's over, and then we get back to me, and there's me. So yeah, I'm babbling all over the place here too, and I don't know if this stuff happens to people all the time. Uh, Horror author and friend Grady Hendrix, who's at the drive-in last year. Mrs. Comic said, "Did we hear anything about Grady Hendrix coming to the drive-in this year?" And no, we didn't. And so, and it would be surprising if we didn't, because our daughter's partner works up there and they're plugged into the drive-in, Mahoning Valley Drive-in. It's absolutely incredible. And just like that, we got the notice that Grady Hendrix is coming back to the Mahoning Drive-In in September. I believe it is September 7th and 8th. I will check that for you. We are going one night. We can't go the other because I'm working. That's actually kind of an amazing thing. So Mrs. Comic and I are going on the Friday, September 6th. He will be there Friday, September 6th, and Saturday, September 7th. I cannot stress how wonderful of a night that would be for horror fans. If you like horror and you read and you like some comedy with your horror, Grady Hendrix is just an incredible talent. Not only writing, but when he goes to these things, I think that's a witch theme. Last year was a ghost theme, and he does a whole presentation, and he ghost busted all the what it was ghost movies. It was the not aliens. It was a ghost. Amityville. See, Mrs. Comic said Amityville, but I heard her say alien because the voice is cracking a little bit. Amityville horror. He tracked us through a whole bunch of those, and there's like 90,000 of them because people fought about them, and it was a little sketchy as to who owned the rights, and it's fascinating and entertaining. And then he's there signing books and selling books. He's such a delightful human being, and he's really. I'm a comedian. When you do a presentation and I say it's funny, trust me, it's fucking funny because I am a critic on that shit. And this one's theme is witches. So go up to get your ass up there, Mahoning Drive-In. I would recommend getting your ticket sooner rather than later because these things do sell out. So there's that. And now let's get back to 4th of July and sharks. Jaws is the quintessential 4th of July film. It happens to be one of our favorites. Sparky, we miss her every day. Sparky's favorite film was Jaws. More than likely because of the seagulls you can hear and all this shit. I don't kid myself about that. But that was her favorite one there. You can see the shape there that looks like a shark head. That's actually Sparky's head right there. So you want to definitely factor in a Jaws watching, which brings me back to the series with strange, odd, evil behaviors, unexplained shit. They did a thing about sharks, and they presented a scenario where Sharknado might possibly happen, and it just fucking Sharknado for fuck's sake, and then they don't say that it happened. They say, could it? That's it. Could it be? Could it be? Is it possible? Could it be? Is it possible? Could it? Could it? Maybe. Could it maybe might have the fuckers won't commit to the whole thing. And it's Sharknado and sharks falling from nose and that kind of shit. So then they had one where there was a giant. It would have either been a squid or a fucking jellyfish or something that was way bigger than it should have been, and somehow it was ripped to shreds. And right away they said, "See, this thing that had to have been eaten and attacked by something much more menacing than Jaws. Jaws is a fucking mechanical shark that was fucking broke all the time. For fuck's sake, the actors had to like hold it together and push it to have them chase themselves. Jaws is not a real fucking shark. It's a fucking mechanical thing. So I don't know what the fuck more menacing than a mechanical shark that was broke 90% of the fucking time. I don't know what the fuck they were thinking there, but so that made us nuts, and that flipped us to. I'm just babbling about what we're watching. Uh, Josh Gates. There's a series, and I really don't even know what the heck it is. He's I can't really hear you. You're trying so hard, but you're way over there. Some exploration show. We're tracking the seasons backwards a little bit, which you can do with him. He actually fucking does shit. Holy smokes! They find fucking pennies that a gangster had, and they track that down by the year and the location, and they're pulling shit out. And we just saw an amazing one where uh, three guys escaped Alcatraz and they never found them, and they just wrote it off as they drowned. They just did a show. I didn't just do the show. We saw it. It seemed to me like they fucking got away. It seems like they actually fucking got away, and they hid out in Brazil in the mountains, and they found American money from that time period in the mountains of Brazil. That's I mean, if you find a penny here, you could say, "Holy fuck, Abraham Lincoln dropped his penny here," or a kid that was playing in the yard fucking buried it. But when you find American money in Brazil in a weird fucking cave, so we've been going on the Josh Gates kick because there's just fascinating stuff. And the running joke with me was all those other shows um, eventually lead to the Nazis. The Nazis had all these half-built bridges and all that shit. And then when Josh Gates got to the Nazis, he had to get to them. I lost my fucking mind. Um, so that's a fun thing to watch. Caesar has spotted Bearcat in the back window, so I'm hearing shit. There could be some fun adventure there. Let's see here. There's my fireworks. There's my that. There's my this. There's my flag dance. Okay, so now there's back to me. 4th of July comes also with fireworks, and again, Mrs. Comic and I are fans of fireworks. They're happy sounds. They scare the fuck out of you. I know it scares the fuck out of our animals, out of our dogs, hissy fits. But you should not be surprised that you have fireworks this time of year. So if you have critters that are sensitive to sound, get them the cannabis infused treats. That's one thing you can do. Put something on TV that has steady volume, not like an action film, something that has steady volume, and put it up loud. Put on a white noise machine. Close your fucking windows. Ram the air conditioning up. Put the fan on high. Protect your pets instead of bitch slapping the people having fun with fireworks on the local Facebook community page, which you don't really have to worry about anymore because the pandemic, there was so much fighting going on the community pages that they mostly shut all those down now. So you just have to piss and moan on each other's pages. But if you are going to have fireworks, for fuck's sake, be careful with them. We don't want to hear about anybody blowing their heads off or any weird shit like that. But fireworks are fun. Don't do sparklers in the house. I did it once, and that was a bad idea. It was actually really fun until I realized how much smoke that they leave. And then if you have a fan and you suck the fan smoke out, then you're kind of okay. It's not really a firework, but a thing that I miss I might have to try some down this year. It's one of the dumbest fucking things that there ever were. They're worms. They're these little black charcoal things, and you call them worms, and then you light it, and this foaming goo comes out, and that's all they do. It's the dumbest thing. I don't know why we like them, um, but we did. Director Josh Gates is awesome, and here's what pisses me off about that also is because during pandemic he was doing really silly shows like this, but more talented because it's Josh Gates and he had shit to talk about. And he wanted something. I don't even remember what the theme was, but I happen to have a sword here and a bow and arrow for reasons I couldn't even tell you. So I did a little silly dance with my bow and arrow and my sword, and I sent it in. I submitted it to the show, and they actually wanted me to use my segment on the show, but I didn't know how Instagram messaging worked, so I didn't actually see the fucking message that they wanted me on that show until it was too fucking late. And so that's why now I don't know if I'll be able to watch Josh Gates anymore because I forgot how fucking horrible of a sting that was. It fucked me up. So I'll have to. I thought I was over it, but I don't think that I'm officially over it yet. But yeah, Josh Gates rocks, and you can learn shit accidentally. Let's see here. Bibbity bobbity boo. Let's see. Going back to how guys, especially at my shows, can be the biggest pains in the asses. Again, it's the theme of my show. We have these friends too. These aren't really friends. It's just after my shows, like clockwork, there is a drunken man who comes over to me and there's the biggest smile because he wants to tell me a joke and he will announce this. And I do a 90-minute show. I have no brain left. I'm soaked. I'm trying to look charming for people who want to have their pictures taken and feel like just the politest of teeny little questions. But it's mostly a smile, picture, thanks for coming to my show, appreciate it. The drunken man comes over, like clockwork, he says, hey, I got a joke I want to tell you. And I said, and there's people around, so I got to make them laugh too when I tell this guy I don't want to hear his joke. I said, I don't want to hear your joke, and that got to laugh. I said, and I'll tell you why I don't want to hear your joke, because I just did 90 minutes of storytelling. I actually don't need another joke right now. I'm tired, and my brain won't even process the joke, and I know for a fact that the joke you're going to tell me is going to take really, really long, and I will lose my focus. I won't be able to keep my attention on your story that long, and then we'll come to the end, and I won't know it's over, and I won't laugh because I won't think it's funny, and you'll get really hurt feelings, and I just like to dispense with all that. And the people that were with him were really laughing and pointing at him. Yes, the joke's really long and all this and that. So that is why, politely, I don't want to hear your joke. And he said, okay, 2 firemen went into a bar. He just started to fucking tell the joke anyway. He started to tell the fucking joke after I spent 2 minutes telling him I didn't want to hear the fucking joke. And Caesar was over here cuddling in the blanket, but since I went and did all this fucking nut shit, he just kind of popped out of there. We love this guy. He's so nuts. I don't know if any of your cats like air conditioning. I love air conditioning, and Caesar loves air conditioning. Caesar goes right over and puts his face right in fucking where the air comes out. Right now he has his ass there, but I would imagine that feels kind of good too. I never really thought about that. Perhaps I don't think I should put my ass at the air conditioner in case it doesn't smell too good. There's probably a good chance of that because we don't want my ass smell blowing around the house, even if it's kind of cooler air. It's still going to be an unpleasant thing. So our cat likes air conditioning, so that's kind of fun shit right there. Let's see here. I started to watch Jaws a little bit. I'm going to watch Jaws probably tonight. I'm going to watch it again and again and again. I'm a Jaws trivia not expert, but the story is so fascinating that and then I think it might have been last year, our daughter uh, tracked down for us, and we were lucky enough to see on Broadway a play. I think it was called "The Shark Is Broke," "Shark Is Broken" or whatever. Fantastic. The actor who plays Quint, I can't think of his name. Brilliant performer. His son, I think it's his son, is plays him in the play, and it melts your brain because he looks like him and he sounds like him. But the play was actually set in a boat, like a you would have a holding tent or holding room when you're filming. You're filming, and they go cut, and then they go in there. So since they're out on the water, they had a holding boat, and they were on this fucking boat a lot. And it was Richard Dreyfuss, and he was a real douchebag back then. And him and Quint, I apologize. I really should have his name. Whoever plays Quint, who was really drinking a lot. He drinks a lot in the film, and he was drinking a lot there. They didn't like each other. They fought like fucking cats and dogs. And then the uh, Brody, uh, uh, just wish I could remember these people's fucking names. Um, Roy Scheider. Roy Scheider, thank you. The guy who played Roy Scheider, he looked like him too. The play was just fucking phenomenal, absolutely incredible. Um, but the backstory on Jaws is, I don't know if anybody else does this, but I have scenes that I love. I absolutely love when they had their first day of shark hunting, and they're chilling out, and they're getting a little liquored up in boat in the down part of in the cabin in the boat, and it's dark, and they're getting a little liquored up, and they had an exciting day, and Chief Brody's got a scar on him, and they start comparing scars. So Hooper and Quint have a one up a battle of comparing their scars. And they, look at this. That's some kind of eel, whatever. He goes, oh, that's nothing. And then they go back and forth, and they uh, ultimately decide to drink to the scars on their legs. They say, let's drink to our legs. I'll drink to your leg. You drink to my leg. So I always do a toast with them and drink to their legs. When you watch Jaws, feel free to toast their legs. They're absolutely incredible. That's a great scene right there. The trivia on that scene is that the actor who plays Quint, and that's Spielberg, when nobody knew who the hell he was, and he was spending way too much money on this thing. Dreyfuss wanted to get out of it. Quint was all liquored up and pissed off the whole time. The whole thing was a fucking train wreck in theory. Uh, but Quint asked Spielberg if he could actually be drunk for that scene. And so they filmed him drunk, and it was a fucking disaster. It was so horrible that they just shut things down, and they called it quits for the day. And when he fucking sobered up at 3 o'clock in the morning, he called up Spielberg and he said, "How bad was it?" He goes, "Well, it's not fire you off the film bad, but it's actually really, really bad. And you owe like the crew and the cast big apologies." And so he refilmed it sober, but they actually used some of the drunk footage too. So when you watch that scene, see if you can figure out when he's drunk and when he's not drunk. I will tell you one spoiler. There's a scene in there where they're comparing their scars and all this and that. Quint zips up his pants. There was no shark bites on his dick. So when the drunk scene, somehow his thing must have come out, and whatever he said prior to that must have been really a great thing that he said in order for them to just leave it in and go, no one will notice that he's pulling up the zipper. The Amish guy would notice zippers. That's my thing. You grow up without zippers, you will notice zippers in there. So when you watch Jaws, look for that fun stuff. Also, the the early on scene, not the mayor, but there's like a newspaper guy, and he's like a powder blue suit on. He's actually a comedian they brought in to help lighten up the script. So that's some fun trivia there. But enjoy your Jaws watching. We're going to Power Slam. We actually also have Jaws 2 to watch, which I've seen years ago, and I believe it's actually halfway decent. So we got that cooking. Jaws 1 and 2 festival. Apologies in advance. It seems like it's going to be a burping night. There it went. That was a good one right there. I don't like a bourbon burp. All right, so there you go. I don't know what you peckerheads are doing 4th of July, but especially if you're out there driving around, man, uh, don't drive drunk. Don't even drive impaired. Obey the speed limits because they're going to be looking for you. And party at home. That's the way to do it, man. Party at home. Have a wonderful 4th of July if you go that way. Um, but if you're just going to stay home in the air conditioning like me, and fuck it, you can just do whatever the hell you want. Let's see here. All right, now I'm trying to figure out Mrs. Oh, I can't ask you questions because you have trouble speaking with your allergies, and then I won't hear what you say, and then we'll have that whole kind of weird thing going on there. Um, but I'm trying to figure out what the hell. It seems like there was some more stories to tell than what we have right now.
Skip.
Oh, we saw. I'm told Win the Barber stories till the cows come home. A dear friend of mine passed away a few years ago, and his widow, Skip, we're still friends with her. She's either 89 or 9. She's up there, and she's smart as a whip. She's out in Fleetwood. She's having a yard sale, 4th of July and 5th of July. If you're out around Fleetwood, there'll be signs up out there around Merchtown. So we went to see her, and she's really a fireball. She's got, it sort of breaks my heart. She has a really excellent old style stereo record player, amplifier, JBL speakers. It's actually worth more money than anybody would be willing to pay for it. And I actually want it, but it's actually too rich for my blood. I don't have that kind of loot to just buy a sound system that I don't need. Um, so I actually priced that out for. It's one of those deals where, to my way of thinking, it's better to not sell it just as shit or junk. So if you know anybody in the Fleetwood area who's looking for ass kicking, old style, it's a Technics turntable, Kenwood amplifier, JBL speakers, vintage stuff. It's absolutely incredible. I took a. She didn't have any records anymore. She's selling off some of this stuff. So it wasn't hooked up. She didn't even have any records. Mrs. Comic, who stayed home from this adventure, um, smarter than me, said, "Why don't if you're going to check out the record player to see if it still works and try to get a price on it, maybe you should take a record along." Genius. So I grabbed a record out of the tub of records that are getting the fuck out of here, and Win the Barber liked big band music and horns and stuff, and so I skipped through a couple of Al Hertz, and I got to a big band album. It's actually called The Stripper, and it's all that. So that was really, that should be a scene that should have been filmed. That I took a record that had the Stripper song on it out to a 90-year-old lady's house to give the record player a test spin. I don't know why I didn't. I actually should have streamed some of that. That was some fun stuff there. Um, oh, these are just notes for stuff I want to write in my show. My bra strap keeps falling down here. I don't think I have anything all that exciting. You would think 4th of July and sharks and all that shit would equal more stories. So I'm going to go off the railroad tracks here and tell you this also is that someone that I know, I won't even say who it is years ago, they went out on a fishing boat around this time of year in New Jersey, and I think they paid a lot to go way out with a small group of people, like a chartered boat, not to catch sharks, but I think marlin. big fuckers, really big fuckers. And so they had one on this side of the boat thought they had a bite, and one on the other side of the boat thought they had a bite, and the professionals on this thing were trying to help one over there and the one over there, and they're saying, "You got I don't know if it's a marlin, but you got one big motherfucking fish on the end of this line," and they said it to the other guy, and they said, "When you say really big, what are you talking here?" He said, "Well, from the pull, I'd say it's probably possibly 150 to 200 pounds," and it wasn't wrong. It was the guys each had their lines hooked, and the men were fucking catching each other on the other side of the boat. So they were like pulling, and they had to weight right. It's that's a real big motherfucker here. And then when this one would pull, and this one would be, I almost fell in the water. I almost had mine, but then it regrouped, and then it fucking pulled me almost in the water. I don't know how they figured out that they had caught each other. I'm fairly confident they didn't like catch each other and then stuff each other and put each other over the mantle. But so if you got on a fishing boat and you think you hooked 200-pounder, make sure there's not a parallel universe asshole on the other side of the boat who also hooked a 200-pound fish. So there's that. That's your fishing trip tip. Fishing trip tip. So there's that. Shark related. Let's see here. Again, I'm all over the place. So the Altoona show again. It was really a healing experience for me. Not to mention, I made some money, but it also they did everything right. Is the point of it? They were gonna run the sound system through the ceiling. I'm like, oh, that's a fucking nightmare. But they had that system overhauled so it actually sound good. Ceiling speakers sound good if you just had them fucking put in. If you have the bingo speaker system that was in there since 1958 when they built the fucking hotel, and so that was a nice surprise. And I thought, if it's shitty sound, I'll just fucking wing it. So when I pulled in, they had the giant marquee, one of those digital ones that it changes the thing all the time. And there came my head, Amish comic, and the date. And it doesn't seem like a big deal, but it's not an ego thing. That's fucking marketing. That's advertising. They're on a main drag, and I should be on there. Nothing to do with ego. It's easy marketing, and then they have other stuff on there too that rolls through. So I congratulated the guy for having me on the marquee, and he looked at me like he almost thought that was common sense. I could see the look on his face and said, "You'd be surprised at how many places I go where it's not sold out, and I am not on the marquee." And it doesn't make any fucking sense to me at all. And then they play the ego card, right? Oh, you're all full of yourself. You just want your big face on the fucking billboard. I don't give a flying fuck. I want to sell tickets and let people know that I'm fucking in there. One of the greatest ones of all time. I won't mention that bar either, because that was Lehigh Valley. They had not a digital one, but they had a fucking one of those giant ones. Wait, it's time to take a pill. And I fucking snapped on those fuckers because it was one of those the giant white ones where they go out and you can change the letters, but they light up so you can see it at nighttime too. And I pissed and moaned and I said, we have a lot of tickets we could have sold, and I'm not on the sign. And they said, that sign is to promote things in the bar. And I said, that sign that I am not on says Miller Lite on tap. I could go in any fucking bar in Pennsylvania and find Miller Lite on tap. It's not a fucking rare beer. It's not anything. People don't ride around looking for bars going, I wonder if they have Miller Lite in there. Well, there's no sign up. They probably don't. Dude, it's one of those things where you might as well put on there, yes, we have fucking bar stools, for fuck's sake. Nobody's going to come to a screeching halt we weren't going to go there, but then we saw Miller Lite on the sign, and we fucking stopped, and we skid into a fucking lady. So, it's the marquee. In fact, if you go around in the world and you see places that have a marquee like that, and it says something fucking stupid like Miller Lite on tap, don't go in, because that means we don't fucking have anything. We don't fucking have anything to say. That's like saying we have a new roll of toilet paper in the men's room, uh, depending on when you actually read the sign. So, if you have a marquee and I'm booked there, please put me on your marquee. How about that? Flicking through my notes here, see what's going on here. All right, I told you last week about my blackout curtain adventure. Caesar figured out how to get behind that. Just tracking through stuff here. Um, that's all my excitement. I thought this would be a far more entertaining show than it's turned out to be. But now you have your plan to watch Jaws 1 and 2. You have your plan to have your 4th of July picnic. And I don't know what other plans you have, but my bra strap is falling down here.
Richter likes Back to the Future. We'll have to watch that sometime.
Richter likes Back to the Future. Is that like a 4th of July tradition?
Like, how do you like Jaws? That's how he likes.
Oh, I get it. Mrs. Comics says Richter likes Back to the Future like how we like Jaws. The funny thing about Back to the Future for me is Huey Lewis and the news guy is there, and he's like this real nerdy, geeky school guy, and he's auditioning the bands. And then later on, he's interviewed about that, and he goes, "It was really fun to play a nerdy, geeky guy, because I don't see myself like that at all." That is fucking exactly how I see him. I see Huey Lewis as some nerdy, geeky dad who happens to be in a rock band. So I don't know what he fucking sees when he sees himself in that movie, but I see a nerdy, geeky. I see exactly the character that he's pretending to be. And the other fun Huey Lewis and the news story is that in the American Psycho, the musical, not the film, the musical, they used It's Hip to Be Square. It was like a big finale for Act 2, and they used his music, and they got the rights for it and all that. The band doesn't play it, they just fucking put the CD on or whatever, and it fucking jams out to close the act. Well, unbeknownst to us, Huey Lewis was there that fucking night, and he did a selfie, and he Instagrammed it, and he tweeted it at the intermission, and everybody was losing their fucking minds. And then our daughter, who was how we found out about going up to see that, and she said, "It's not really that exciting for Huey Lewis to be there on the same night that you went, because he goes to every fucking performance and he sits in that same seat and he does that same thing. Oh, I decided to see this tonight." She every fucking night, every fucking night. So I actually wish she wouldn't have ruined it for me. But since I view him as a geeky nerd guy anyway, it wasn't that big of a fucking deal. Richter, the Back to the Futures, are any of the other ones any good? The first one, bingo, that's Rockstar right there. But are any of the other ones any good? In fact, we've been on a Ted Lasso kick. One of the Coach Beard does an impersonation of Dr. Emmett Brown from Back to the Future. So there you go. When all the worlds collide. Let's see. Yes, two is the best. So Back to the Future 2 is better than 1. Are you blogging off on a Rick? Are you making an official statement that Back to the Future 2 is better than Back to the Future 1? Because if I see it and I am disappointed, it's going to cause me to drink more, and not for pleasure. It's going to be like fucking spite, fucking Richter, and it's fucking rating 2 higher than 1 shit. All right, so Richter says 2 is better than 1. All right. that's fantastic. So there we go. We'll drink to Back to the Future's 2 being in the number 1 slot and 1 being in the number 2 slot, which reminds me of the story I forgot to tell last week. I don't think I told it, and this is I'm going to wrap my show up with this thing. It's going to sound racist, but I have to do an accent to do this. So Mrs. Comic does almost 100% of the food ordering from her phone. We'll decide what we're going to have, and she phones it in, and I go pick it up, or we all go pick it up. I would say she's good at it, and she knows how to tell them things to minimize what shit could possibly go wrong. And I can tell when shit's going wrong, because when I'm over there and I hear her repeating things and repeating them slowly, and then I see a look of confused worry on her face, and then when she completes the order, she tells me, well, I'm not making any promises because you heard how that went. And so I braced myself, and it was just a Emmaus Diner breakfast. That's what it was, takeout breakfast. So I went down there, and our order is boring because we're vegetarians. I will get French toast, 3 pieces. Mrs. Comic will get pancakes, 3 pieces. And then we mix and match, and we swap half and half, and then we get 2 orders of home fries. It's a boring order, but it shouldn't be that difficult. Now, when I got there, and I said I'm going to pick up a takeout order, and the lady told me what it was. She said 2, 3 pancakes, she said 1, 3 pancake, 1, 3 French toast. I didn't know what the fuck she was talking about. 1, I said, no, we ordered 2. She said, no, 1, 3 pancake, 1, 3 French toast. Then she explained to me that French toast, 1, 2, 3. You order 1, 3, and pancake, 1, 2, 3. You order 1, 3. So she was trying to tell me that she ordered, well, we ordered 1 3-piece pancake and 1 3-piece French toast. Because this went on for 9 fucking minutes out there. She said, you order, pancake, 1, 2, 3. You order 1 3 pancake, 1 3 French toast, 2. And this really fucked me up in the biggest possible way. And then that lady had the balls to be disgusted with me and say, I explained to her on the phone. That's Mrs. Comic. She would be the her. And apparently the her did a terrible job of explaining to me 1 3 pancake and 1 3 French toast. Because Mrs. Comic basically sent me out the door prepared that we could possibly be getting 36 pancakes and fucking 36 pieces of French toast. So there you have it. That is a wrap for our 4th of July shark show. And I actually want to do a Shark Week show, so I'm glad I went easy on the shark stuff. I will leave you with this amazing line from a friend of mine. I haven't seen him in years, but we used to work out together. And he had big, strong fucking legs, and I almost killed myself dropping 250-pound weight on my chest because he was spotting me and he was admiring his own leg when I was trying to fucking lift this weight. And he said, you know, if a shark bit off my leg, it would surely be full. Dumbest fucking thing I ever heard. That's a wrap for this week. Thanks for tuning in. We love you, as Mrs. Comic says. Howdy do, and have a wonderful 4th of July. And we should see you next Tuesday. I hope I didn't put the jinx on. I'll leave you with this. I'll give you one more look at this before we sign off, because you're never going to see that again. This is one time, well, it's not, it's 2-time performance. This is a 1-time performance. I had this removed from social media platforms 3 different times because I kept putting in music I didn't have the copyright for. So I just whacked the soundtrack out right there. There you go. That's my brother-in-law, Plumber Jack, sitting in that chair. I He has a lot of patience. I would never be able to sit and enjoy a beer as calmly as he is, with an asshole like me dancing around waving flags in my face. I'd fucking lose my fucking mind. So there you have it. That's a wrap. Let's do this. Stream ending soon. You folks rock. Have a wonderful 4th of July. If you go anywhere that's open, don't be a dick. They have to